Everybody, we are back live at Bulger Park in Melrose Park, Illinois. Place is becoming pretty familiar to all of you. We were out here last night. If you didn't check out the Woodpecker New Millennium game, it was pretty fun. A couple of really young teams going at it. And that was, we made the comment, they were jumping up and down at the end of the game. That was actually their first win ever in this league. They were in it last year. So anyways, tonight we got the big boys playing. We got Fat Kids versus the 45's. Second game of the doubleheader is going to be Signature in the 45's. So a little bit different today, a little more experienced ball club's going to be getting after it. So you see they got a little bit different on the lineup here. So they made kind of a change here, but Luke Lowry going to be leading off here for the Fat Kids. So the Fat Kids had a couple of guys show up just before game time. So Israel Sanchez on the hill for the 45's, and we'll get to some of the rules in a minute for you new followers. Because what you're seeing is Chicago-style 16-inch softball, and you're seeing it correctly. We do not wear gloves. 99% of what we do out here, it is not a mush ball, and the ball will retain its consistency throughout the game. And the 45 is one of the most decorated 16-inch softball teams ever, and there's a little bloop, and that's going to drop in front of Chris Lentine. So Luke Lowry leads off the ball game with a little flare into right field, and we do have a slight breeze. And it feels like it might be pushing out a little bit toward right field, but not much of a wind. This time of the day we do get some. That's going to bring up Macho Soto. And we'll get to some of the rules here as we can. And Macho rifles it between third and short. And Lowry, who can fly, took the turn, and I tell you there, the left fielder had a little trouble. Chuck Regaldo, normally a center fielder, bobbled that, and Luke shut it down real early. And as a result of that, I think Tommy Boyle didn't think Chuck was going to bobble it, but he had a golden opportunity there to score. But with nobody out, second and third for Matt Peckus. And Matt hammers it toward the alley, and Mike Marola.
He dropped it.
And they called it safe. It looked like Marola had made a tumbling catch there. And umpire felt he saw it hit the ground. Mike's not arguing out there. Some infield chatter here by the 45's, but when your outfielder is taking his hat off and kind of giving you the body language that he's kind of ticked at himself for not catching it, you pretty much know it was the right call. So one run in, they'll courtesy run for Peckus. And still second and third, only difference is there's one run in, and here's Anthony Misek. So they wanted to courtesy run, and I'm not sure why they didn't send Alex Rodriguez out there. The umpire wasn't telling them they couldn't courtesy run. He was telling them it had to be the last guy in the lineup. And instead of just taking the last guy in their lineup, which I believe is Alex Rodriguez, who's pretty quick, they just sent Peckus back out there. So I think the Fat Kids there, and they do usually courtesy run, and there's a ball the other way, and it scoots past Paulie. Peckus is going to hustle and get in. So a little routine ground ball the other way. And Joe Paulie, he was just kind of went down and the ball jumped. You can see he's starting out on the grass. Now he's coming in on the dirt. There's Brandon Molina. That's a tough play for a second baseman, and either you got to get 3-4 feet back on the grass or you got to be on the dirt there. You don't want to have that lip right in front of you and try to field the ball, because That looked like it might have hit the lip and just flattened out on him. And Molina draws a walk. No, late strike call.
Hey, we're good. Come on, B. Come on, B.
So Molina
Come on, B.
thought he coaxed the walk there.
No, 31. 31. What's the count? Is it 31? Rich.
So 2-2, and Molina hammers it to center field. So Brandon Molina becomes the 5th straight fat kid to reach. And that's going to bring up Tommy Boyle. So 2 more base runners here. Fat kids have come out of the gate pretty strong here. And we got a long way to go in this one, and Boyle hits a high fly ball. Marola on his horse makes the catch. Noach, little late tagging, and he'll make it. You could see Molina tagged right away, so he got over there. He does move both base runners, and it brings up Nick Jones. So Fat Kid's in a position here, 2 for 1. And unless there's some kind of a crazy line drive double play, they should get 2 cracks at it. Nick Jones with Angelo Feliciano on deck. So that pitch is a little deep. Of course, Nick, a former Mudville guy. And Nick looks good. He's dropped some weight, and I think he always did have a lot of swings. Was always good at moving the ball around the field. And there he goes big. That's going to score 1. Molina should get to 3rd, throw a little offline. Scotty Vetter had to come off the bag, but the 4th run scores. And here's Angelo Feliciano with Alex Rodriguez on deck. So Angelo in a position here. This a lot of times you'll hear a coach or somebody on your team, even though they've scored 4, they'll tell the guy in the box, come on, base hit here really makes the inning. And again, the 45's, they're not going to pucker up. A little cut shot, and Marola and Joe Pauly right into our line of sight there. Unfortunately, we couldn't see it. But another tumbling catch there by Marola, and you can tell he's hard slap of the hands there with Chuck Regaldo, so he's still thinking about that ball that he couldn't hold on to. But in the inning, 4 big runs for the Fat Kids. Of course, the 45's, like we said, one of the more storied programs in the history of 16-inch softball. And they've been around for a long time. What are you pointing at?
Ice cream.
Oh, ice cream.
See this little Spider-Man?
Ram asking me if I want an ice cream. The guy's in a Spider-Man outfit. I don't know if I trust the guy selling ice cream in a mask. Might want to lock up the kids. But just having a little fun. I'm sure he's a fine individual. So some of the rules for you newbies: no gloves, obviously. 60-foot bases, leadoff can't steal. 38 from the rubber to the point of home plate. Pitcher gets a drag step, only in no glove, and that's 1 step left, right, or back. 6-12 on the arc. Pitcher gets 2 fakes or hesitation. 3rd arm action must be to deliver the ball home. A fake or a throw to a base is one of your fakes or hesitations. Here's Jimmy Moretti leading off. We do swing heavy bats. They can weigh up to 38 ounces, 34 inches long, 2 1/4 on the barrel. You cannot hit a foul ball with 2 strikes or you're out. There's no fence, so it's all you can get. They usually play the fence line down. So Angelo Feliciano staked to a 4-run lead. And I think Richie's confusing some of the players with some of his hands actions because he's kind of pointing and waving around, so it's hard to keep track. Moretti, a little overhand cut, and that's going to fall in front of Lowry and a leadoff base hit. Well, Amalia, he hasn't, Mikey has not really pitched for a long time. And that's going to bring up Nate Mercado. So as far as being a pitcher goes, he's still kind of a work in progress. And for a young kid, he just really started doing it a couple of years ago. He's not bad. Does throw strikes and he does play defense. So here's Nate Mercado. Nate, one of the better two-way shortstops in the game. He's been a mainstay on this 45 team for a long time. Roadrunners before that. And I really think that
You're good.
when you look at this 45 team, we always talk about guys that stir the drink, and I always use that reference to talk about Curtis Ostrom with Hex, but Nate Mercado is one of those guys for the 45s, and he grounds it up the middle, and easy for Chuck Regaldo to get to third base, and here come the 45s. Again, when you've won as many championships as they have, they're not going to be too intimidated by a 4-run inning. So if you're the fat kids, you got to understand, even though you scored 4 and you feel good about it, that you know the 45s at some point are going to make a run. Here's Scotty Vetter off to a terrific start and hit that ball hard to the alley. It's going to score a run, but Luke Lowry ran it down. And that was interesting. It looked like that was a knuckleball. Looked like he hit it right on the seam. And so the ball kind of got up there, even though it was hit hard, and it just kind of hung up there. It didn't have any type of spin to allow it to either take off or sink. And here's Jeff Mastari, so 4-1 ball game here, 1 out, runner on. Now any type of stretch single, Nate Mercado's going to score. And there's a ground ball up the middle. Nick Jones safe at second. And that ball was hit up the middle. Problem was Nate read it all the way, and we told you he's very fast. It would have been a tough play. Mastari, a tall kid, chews up a lot of yardage when he runs. And Nick was going to his right hand. Here's Chris Lentine now. Now Chris, terrific offensive player, playing right field today. We don't normally see him in right field. Last couple of years he's been primarily a catcher EH most of the time, but I don't see Anthony Sanchez here. Anthony might be in class. I know he's working on a graduate degree. Not quite sure if he finished that up yet. And of course, Chris and Anthony were co-MVPs when the 45s, and there's a hard ground ball to Noach, a little bobble, but he'll make the play. Meanwhile, both runners advance, so Chris and Anthony Sanchez, co-MVPs, when the 45s won the SSA Men's Major National Championship up in Wheeling a few years ago. Here comes the first baseman, Adam Haas. Adam, one of the more pleasant people you're ever going to meet. Terrific defensive first baseman. And I thought last year he took a big step forward in terms of being more consistent with the bat. And there's, he shoots it up the middle. Angelo got a leg on it. 2 runs are going to score. So right on cue, maybe the Gio Maluk is dead, as I gave him a compliment and he got a hit. So here's John Robinson, J-Rob. J-Rob will live in infamy. He's a road runner and doesn't quite play as much as he used to, but when this guy's right, he's as tough and out as there is in the game because he can do so many things. Of course, he'll always be a part of SSA history. As one of our greatest clips was of J-Rob hitting a pop foul and Jackson Perry, and there's a ball though hit right at Nick Jones. But 45's come back after being 3, and we're going to head to the second inning here. So J-Rob, part of SSA trivia lore, as we ran that clip, I may try to dig that up and maybe put that back up, of Jackson Perry jumping up and catching a foul ball on a tall screen where he literally reached over the top of the screen and crashed into the fence. And, you know, Jackson's a big guy. I actually think the fence got the worst of that. So here's going to be Alex Rodriguez. And I do see Scott Gates has shown up. And Rodriguez a little flip the other way, and Scotty Vetter at third makes a nice over-the-shoulder catch. So I think right now they're waiting for Gates to put his shoes on. As they had changed the lineup. And this is tough. Gates just got out of a car, lightning fast. So we'll see if they put him right in the outfield, but it's kind of tough when a guy hasn't warmed up. Fat Kid's only got basically, and there's a hammer shot. So with no BP, Gates puts a pretty decent swing on it. And now they're back to the top and Luke Lowry. So again, the important thing, Fat Kid's going to be okay. I've said that numerous times, both in the winter and earlier, covering several other ball games. But it's important. There's still kind of team on the rise. And when you play teams like the 45's, Flashback, Signature, you have to, it's not enough to come out early, but you got to be able to maintain that ability to continue to put runs up during the course of a ball game. And Lowry takes that pitch a little deep. Santos, Macho Soto on deck. And Luke swings and he gets it past Mastari. So Luke, second hit of the ball game. And that's going to bring up Macho. Now Luke will score on that stretch single with 2 outs. He's going to be taken off here on the swing. And Macho certainly has a lot of pop. Give him a big alley in right center as Chris Lentine shaded a little bit toward the line. And there he shoots it past Mastari. And he's grabbing a finger. I don't know if maybe, I don't think there's any type of a sun issue, but Jeff was a little tentative, kind of going after that, and he kind of stabbed at it. And he might have just caught the tip of a finger on that. This ball will do some damage. So first and second for Peckus. Had kind of one of the biggest at-bats of that 4-run first inning when he hit the sinking liner. And Mike Marola looked like he was going to make a tumbling catch, but he ended up not being able to hold on. And that kind of started the merry-go-round. And Peckus pops it up, and Vetter puts it away. So a little 2-out threat. Can't do anything with it. We'll head to the bottom of the second, 4-3. Fat Kids. So Gates is going to try to get loose here as he jogs out to center field. Lowry slides over to right, and Brandon Molina slides over to left. And hopefully Gates will get his legs loose Hate to see a guy pull a muscle because he just got out of a car. And hopefully he'll get enough throws in to keep that arm loose. Because I think Gates is... First saw him last year in a co-ed mushball game. And he looked like he was a talented kid. And he's transitioning over. He's hitting the ball hard and he's really tracking the ball well in the outfield. Note says it's only 23. You don't pull muscles. Well, for us fat guys, maybe, Note, but when you're lean like that, they got no cushion, man. So here's Mike Marola leading off. Joe Pauly and then Izzy Sanchez. And Mike trying to go big, going back as Molina makes an easy catch on it. Of course, Brandon. Yeah, Nathan, they've done a tremendous job here. And down on field 1, where I'm showing you, they got LED lights. The lighting down there at night is just spectacular. It's good here. And talking to Joe Serpico, here's Joe Pauly. They're talking about putting LED lights on field 2. And they do a great job. Richie Arico, who we talk about during the summers, almost a one-man grounds crew, just does great jobs. And just a real nice place to play softball. They had a third diamond here. They might be dangerous in terms of really dominating softball. And here they are. Everybody always wants to complain about balls and strikes. I never understood it. And Pauly up the middle, little bobble by Tommy Boyle, but he made the play. I used to tell guys all the time when I was playing and in the batter's box, I never wanted them to yell at the umpire or talk about balls and strikes. Because these guys are human, and they're doing the best they can. And are they going to miss one here and there? Sure they are. But that's why you get 3 strikes. And if I didn't like a strike call, I never showed an umpire up. I would look down at my feet, call time, and act like I was smoothing out a divot. And that's a little flare, and Rodriguez went back, and he made the catch. That was an interesting play because it looked like the right fielder. I don't know if I got that on replay. But it looked like the right fielder was going to make the catch. And then all of a sudden Rodriguez just put his hands out and held on. So, nice play to end the inning. 45's go 1, 2, 3. So after the 7-run outburst combined, both teams go quiet in the second. We're going to head to the top of the third. So I never wanted anybody to yell at an umpire. I would just act like here's Anthony Mysek. And Noach, little humpback. So he leads off with a hit. And here comes Luke Lowry to courtesy run. And it should be... So they're trying to get the courtesy runner. I would just act like I was trying to straighten out the divot. And then as I was looking down and shuffling my feet around, I would just say to the umpire, and of course, so many of our games, and I would just kind of say, hey, Joe, or Bob, or whoever the umpire was, come on, man, that's not a strike. And they would appreciate it. These guys know that they miss strikes every once in a while, and they appreciate it when you don't necessarily call them out or make a big deal of it. So they base it. Gates a big turn, but he'll come on back. So Molina hammers a base hit into left. A couple of humpbacks here. And that's going to bring up Tom Boyle. Tommy Boyle got off to an electric start last year in the Chicago Summer Series. And there's a little knuckleball and diving, tumbling catch by Chuck Regaldo. Of course, Chuck, a center fielder, got massive range. He got there and made a tumbling catch. So the 45's have made 2 tumbling catches, one by Marola. But the ball slithered out, so here's Nick Jones. So that could end up being a big play as this game goes on. Chuck doesn't catch that, and the ball goes bouncing around. 2 runs could have potentially scored on that. And Nick hammers it, and Marola's there. And now both runners are going to tag. Way to move. And that's a good example. Mike really wasn't quite set up. He made a belly catch out there, and that robbed him of a little momentum. And he's not going to throw Scott Gates out at third. That ball's got to go to second. Molina, watching all the way, saw the throw was not going to go to the cutoff man and took a base. And Angelo, same position he was in the first. And this time, and Marola comes in and robs him. And I don't know why Mike fired the ball over there, but Marola saw it all the way. It looked like it was going to be a hit. First inning, Angelo was in the same spot, second and third, 2 outs. Another one. I'm not sure why Mike fired the ball off the screen. I'm not sure what the purpose is. There was nothing in that inning that was controversial. I'm not sure if Rich Hennessy saw it, but you just can't have guys firing the ball around. There's a guy over there with his kid behind the fence. That can be a tricky situation. So it's going to be Chuck Regaldo, and then the top, Jimmy Moretti and Nate Mercado. Bottom of the 3rd inning here. So the Fat Kids threaten, they don't score. Got 11-1-2 for the 45. So this is a big inning for the Fat Kids, clinging to a 1-run lead. And that's a wicked hop. So Macho Soto was in great position. We'll see if we can get a good look at this wicked hop. It looked like Macho was going to be in great position to make a play there, and the ball just skyrocketed.
Hey, line us through.
Again, my guess is Chuck really rolled over and had that top spin, and the ball bit and jumped. And here's Moretti with Nate Mercado. And Jimmy Moretti, one hopper to Soto, over to Boyle. Big scoop there by Notes, so to go around the horn there, 6-10-3 on the double play, and that wipes out the leadoff single. And this is nicely done there. You see Soto with the good feed to Boyle. Boyle almost threw it too soft, but Notes is telling him we're all good. So I think Boyle got aggravated that he made that a tough throw for Noach, but as I always tell people, that's in your job description as a first baseman, is to bail out your infielders. So here's Nate Mercado.
Boy, 2 strikes, watch your gap.
So that's a big play there, because 45's do have a very good top of the lineup, and there's a little chopper. This is going to be a tough play, and once you bobbled it, chances of throwing Nate out are not very good, and Boyle did not come up with it clean. Then he threw a long bounce throw to Noach, who handled it. He kind of cheated off that bag pretty nice. Last time I seen a guy get off a bag that quick, might be a photo finish between Bob Rush Jr. and Bruce Lee. I don't know if throughout their careers those guys have been on the bag more than 5 times each when they caught a throw. Just kidding, fellas. And Scott Vetter drives it into an alley. We're all tied at 4. And Scott Vetter, who hit a bullet his first time up, which was run down by Lowry that time, painted the right center field alley. And he continues his hot hitting. And we're all tied at 4. And here's Jeff Mastari. Chance to give the 45's their first lead of the ball game here. And Mastari, and Boyle makes a nice catch as he goes down to a knee. Let's get a look at that. So Tommy Boyle, and that's a little humpback, and that's a tough play, folks. That ball was digging. It wanted to bounce. So 4-4 in the 4th. We got a little symmetry going on here. And you all know Gio loves the symmetry. So, some couple of hard hit balls that inning for the 45's. The big one, the bad hop single, did get erased on the double play, but it did keep the inning, got the 45's rolling a little bit. A 16-inch league? Is that what you're telling me, Nathan? If so, we actually ran during COVID, we ran our Class A Glove National Championship in Portage. Beautiful field out there. Had a really good time. Everybody was terrific to us. Here's Alex Rodriguez. And Ford Field Complex out there. Nice concession stand. It was nice. And there's a ground ball to Mastari, and that throw pulls him off. Jeff moving up the middle on that. Couldn't quite get his arm through a little bit of a screwball, and as long as Adam Haas is, he couldn't make the catch and stay on the bag. So good speed aboard. Nobody out for Scott Gates. And there's a hard ground ball, just foul. Scotty Vetter did a nice job to knock that down. Even had it been fair, it would have only been a single. Because Scotty Vetter, we talked a little bit in the dome. He hadn't really been. And now he goes the other way, and Marola, who has shifted over to right field, as Anthony Sanchez is now here, and they've put Chuck back into center. So the ball is finding Mike Marola tonight. Here's Luke Lowry. And Luke, little inside out action, and Rodriguez stops at second. So Luke Lowry, we told you, he's improving rapidly. And that time, a little inside-out action, just threw a line drive into right field. So 1 out here for Macho Soto. So the Fat Kids have had plenty of runners in this ball game. Well, if it's a 16-inch lead, Nathan, do me a favor when you talk to your buddy. Tell him to reach out to us and there's a hard pull, and Haas can't catch it. Throws to second, gets away, everybody's safe. Very uncharacteristic. We'll show you the replay. Adam Haas knocked it down. He is a left-handed thrower. But you can see, throw just kind of got away, and now the bases are loaded with nobody out for Matt Peckus. We don't see that very often. Adam just, now it looks like maybe Nate Mercado, he's grabbing a hand. So both Mastari and Nate Mercado have had balls That one was thrown. Mastardi on the line driving. They were both grabbing fingers. So here's Peckus. And now Matt is a double play candidate if he puts it on the carpet. And this is going to be interesting. Good arm with Sanchez. And oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. A run did score. So the bases were not loaded. And it is 5-4. So here's Anthony Mysak, Noach. And again, these are the kind of situations where the Fat Kids have a ton of base runners tonight. And there is a strike, and Brandon Molina on deck.
Two strikes. Two-strike hitter. Two-strike hitter, Noach, let's go.
I always thought Noach was a little more effective when he went hard to right center. Noach has got kind of a long swing. He did try to go there, but a little too much oxygen underneath. So Fat Kids, a lot of noise there. They only managed to push one across, but they do reclaim the lead as we're going to head to the bottom of the fourth halfway through. Yeah, do me a favor, Nathan. I got kind of sidetracked there. Have your guy Terry reach out to me here at the SSA. And if it is a 16-inch league, we'd love to talk to Terry about what type of league it is, what type of level experience-wise it is, and love to talk to him about maybe coming out and getting a couple of teams from Indiana to come to the SSA Class A Glove National Championships in Carroll Stream, and maybe even the No Glove in Schaumburg, which is at the end of June. Of course, Carroll Stream 2 weeks before Labor Day, and that tournament in Carroll Stream is the biggest national championship tournament for 16-inch softball in the country. We routinely get between 32 and 38 or so teams, and leading off Anthony Sanchez's first hit, swing of the ball game, and he throws it out. So they put Anthony in Chris Lentine's slot. And here comes Adam Haas. So leadoff man tying run on base here. So he can reach out to me, Nathan, at George at SSAsoftball.com. And going the other way, Adam Haas throws his second hit. Anthony going to head to third, and he is out at third. Perfect strike out there by Brandon Molina. Of course, Brandon, one of the smoothest, slickest outfielders in the game. He doesn't get his due, but this throw was right on the money, folks. And Anthony Sanchez couldn't do nothing but slide into it. And that's a tall ask. Anthony just got here, I believe, last inning. Adam Haas did go to third, and there's a flare, and here comes Molina. Can't get there, but he made it close enough to where Adam Haas couldn't go anywhere. So first and second now with one out. Big defensive play there to throw the lead runner out. And here's Mike Marola. Now they're going to run for... And they're going to run now for J-Rob. Now, would not surprise me. They got Tom Boyle playing on the left field side, and there's a little flare, and Luke Lowry makes the catch. He spiked the throw, trying to throw it. And that's kind of a break there because they had Tom Boyle playing on the left field side of the bag. And Mike actually had a lot of space on the right side of the infield, but it looked like he was trying to flip the line there. Here's Joe Pauly. I think had Mike tried to maybe beat Angelo up the middle, And Paulie now knocked down by Nick Jones. Fair ball. But by knocking it down, and as a result, bases are juiced for Israel Sanchez. Big hitter right now. The 45's got the bags juiced. See Angelo he's trying to bring Luke in a little bit. Luke being a little stubborn. We don't see Izzy really try to bomb the ball anymore. And there he guides it, and Scott Gates, who's just a vacuum. They really do have one of the quicker outfields in the game. So bases loaded threat goes by the board. We're going to head to the top of the fifth. Fat Kid's playing a solid game and clinging to a one-run lead. So it's a pretty nice pool. Got up to about 73 or 74 out here. But now that the sun's gone down and there are literally no clouds at all, that heat's dissipating. And as a result, temperature's starting to drop a little bit, but no wind to speak of. If you're in the middle of a game and playing, it's very pleasant. And this would be a good night to hit. So it's going to be Brandon Molina, Tom Boyle, and Nick Jones. And Molina takes that pitch. And there's a ground ball. And nice play by Mastari going deep in the hole. Yeah, I think the reason why the major league out here goes open count is because they only got 2 games. I know on the Monday league they're trying to play 3 games, 7, 8, and 9. So they don't want, again, this is tucked into a residential area. And Boyle down the line, but Sanchez is there for out number 2. So they don't want the games to go too late. And if they went open count, then you'd have to also start the game probably a little earlier and go 6:45, 8, and 9:15. And anybody that knows, if you go out to some of these other leagues that try to do it, the late game is always low. I think that's why they have a different rule for the AB. And Nick Jones back to Izzy Sanchez. So the Fat Kids go 1, 2, 3. Again, it's more just of a scheduling. Meanwhile, it looks like Signature in control on the other diamond, beating Chicago Dynasty 11-3. And of course, we'll have Signature and the 45's coming up after this ball game. We will click off and start a new stream. Yeah, I don't know why it would be doing that. I know sometimes if I change the scoreboard or I run to a replay, I think it, excuse me, I think sometimes that may affect the microphone for a half a click. Here's Chuck Regaldo, and he'll make the play. We ran into that issue too at the Dome, I think, one day, and we were doing a doubleheader. Here's Jimmy Moretti. In between games, when I was doing the second game, I ended up restarting my phone, and that seemed to clear it up as well. So, one out, nobody on here, bottom of the fifth. It's been a pretty well-played game so far. And again, Angelo been around the block, but with a lot of these major teams, you don't want anybody to walk, and there's a little cut down the line. Molina gets to it, and that'll be a base hit. Chuck Regaldo will jump on here and courtesy run. And that's going to bring up Nate Mercado. And Nate tries to go down that line, and he slaps a base hit, so back-to-back cuts down the left field line. Put a couple of base runners on for a very hot Scotty Vetter.
Mikey, hit the plate for Chucky.
Gap twice. Hey, line of two right here.
Stick with you, kid.
Now, normally, Scotty Vetter isn't getting cheated. They are playing him very deep. If he wanted to cut the ball right now, he's got nothing but green grass. So big spot here in the ball game. And he hammers another one. Scott Gates is there. So, and that ball over the relay man, but on target. So Scotty Vetter's had 3 at-bats. He's hit 2 missiles for outs. And he hit the third missile was perfectly placed in the right center. So he's not getting a lot of love. And here's Mastari. And the ball just explodes off of this kid's bat. And here's a little ground ball. Soto in time. Macho Soto, strong gun. And they work out of a mini jam there. So we're going to head top 6. And I got to tell you right now, if you are the Fat Kids, you cannot feel too comfortable clinging to a 1-run lead when you don't have the hammer. So, Nick, what is this, your 900th straight game for the Fat Kids?
Oh, well, I think it's $8.99.
Okay. You beat the Mudville streak by about 896. Inside gag, folks. So, here we go. So, it looks like Chulo Magana has made an appearance.
Joe, your right hand, Joe.
And he's hitting for, I think, Angelo Feliciano. And he flies out. Again, a guy that was just taking his first at-bat. And that's going to bring up Alex Rodriguez. Of course, after this game, the Fat Kids will go down to the other diamond and they'll play Chicago Dynasty. And that's how they do it out here. 4 teams. And they cross over. And that's why usually when we're out here, we really can't escape the fact that somebody's going to be shown twice on these doubleheaders. So Rodriguez goes the other way, but Sanchez playing him short right on the spot, and that's going to bring up Scott Gates with Luke Lowry on deck. So 9 runs in the ball game, 7 scored in the first inning. Both teams picked up 1 run since. And there's a high long fly ball, but Sanchez makes the catch. So the Fat Kids go 1, 2, 3 in the 6th. Looking ahead to the 7th, the Fat Kids will be starting that inning at the top of their lineup. Meanwhile, coming up here is going to be Anthony Sanchez, Adam Haas, and J-Rob. And again, I think if obviously, if you're the 45's, you'd like to find a way to score 3 or 4, get 3 outs, and call it a game. And there's the Melrose legend himself, Teddy Mio, saying hi to Chris Lentine. So here comes Anthony Sanchez. So both teams got a couple of guys that have kind of weren't here at the start of the game, trying to work their way kind of loose and in. Sanchez the other way, and Soto, a little fumble. So Soto, a little fumble, then he rushed the throw. Tying run, leadoff man on base. And that brings up Adam Haas, 2 for 2 in the ball game.
Come on, Adam. Slowly can't run though, but still.
And Adam smokes his third hit the other way. So he just flattened out and pumped it between Soto and Jones over there as they were playing him to pull. And the 45's, first 2 hitters on here for J-Rob. J-Rob flipped the ball last time up, and Noche is trying to pull him in. And J-Rob muscles a hit toward the gap. We're all tied. Haas will make it to third. 5-5 ball game. First 3 hitters have reached. First guy who just scored was on the little bit of the fumble by Soto. And here's Mike Marola, so we'll see if that little error kind of opens a little bit of a floodgate here. So if you're Marola, you'd like to at a minimum get one in and get one over. Mike still runs pretty good. Rodriguez a little deep at second. And Boyle. So he called the runner safe. He said Macho Soto didn't have the base, and he called the runner safe. As Boyle tried to go, as we look at the replay. See, I'm not a big fan of that. And I know the rule is you're supposed to be on the base, but having been a short center for 20 years, you know, it wasn't like he was abusing it if he was off the bag, but that's how you get people killed. So still nobody out, 6-5. And that brings up Joe Pauly.
Right, at least move. Earn your money at least. Take a couple steps.
And the Fat Kids are a little upset. They felt that the umpire could have maybe been out a little bit more in front of the plate. And that's a tough call. You got a guy sliding in, and you got the shortstop moving from the left side of the bag to the right side of the bag. It's very difficult to tell. Angelo knocks it down, and Angelo, a little bit of a mistake there, had all kinds of time there, and Angie should have went to third base there. He had all kinds of time, and that allows 2 runners to move into scoring position. And here's Israel Sanchez. I expect Izzy to try to make sure he elevates and gets it out there.
Right, you made your call. You don't got to explain it to him. He's just another player.
So here we go. And Izzy does his job. And Lowry is going to try to throw home that. And now Marola's going to score. So that was a mistake by the young outfielder. He tried to throw home. He was not going to get the runner at third. He was actually moving a little bit toward the alley when he caught it. And what he should have done there is throw the ball to third. Instead, he threw home. It was a little while. The ball bounced around, and they give up a run. And again, that's also a perfect example, Tom Boyle. So do or die 7th coming up for the Fat Kids. And the big play there was, ball was hit hard. Angelo knocked it down. If he goes to third there, it changes the complexion of the inning. Both of those runners that advanced second and third ended up scoring. And I think that would have saved at least one run and maybe even two. And again, now Angelo is knocking a ball down. He's facing first base. That's where you got to have your first baseman or somebody tell him he's got time, go to third. So top of the lineup, Lowry, Soto, and Peckus. Do or die here for the Fat Kids. They need 3 to extend the game, 4 to give them a lead. Anything less, and the 45's will win. So Luke Lowry throws out another hit. He's had a good ball game, and here's Soto.
There you go. Some runs back. Come on. Get him back. Come on, look where it started. It's a brutal call.
Yeah, it's tough to see because where I'm standing, I'm not even sure. I tried to run the replay. I guess if you guys have a big screen. And Soto goes opposite field. Sanchez on his horse, and that ball is foul. That ball really carried opposite field, but it drifted foul. That Joel, that was a very, where I'm standing, I got a guy sliding in, and to try to see the base and everybody's feet and what have you there, very difficult, maybe especially on my cell phone. But like I said, being a long-time short center, I don't like when umpires get so hyper-technical and they want a guy standing on the bag with these big grown hostile men sliding into your feet. And I think if you're within a couple of 4 inches, and there's another one, this time he does beat Sanchez. Macho Soto went right back to the well, and this is going to be a triple. And that's going to bring up the tying run. It's Macho Soto. That ball straight as an arrow. 45's apparently felt that he had 2 strikes. Umpires said it was a 1-1 count before that. And they kind of feel that if Macho would have had 2 strikes, he's not going down the line there. So here's Peckus. Now, Matt's a big, strong kid, and sometimes he wants to go for the home run. But there's a hard ground ball. Nate Mercado makes the play. Another run scores. The 45's have clawed to within 1. And getting back there to Matt, he's such a strong kid. He always wants to drive the ball, but I think sometimes that's an example. They're playing you so deep. If you just hit a line drive toward an alley and get yourself to second, then you drive a run in and you put that tying run into position. And that was a good example. He was trying to muscle up, pulled off of it a little bit, and just ended up topping the ball to Nate Mercado. So there's Anthony. He goes up the middle, base hit. And Jose Sanchez went tumbling. So now they should be getting a courtesy runner here. Should be Luke Lowry, I would think, because Luke led off. Oh no, Luke got on. So Scott Gates was the last out. Soto got a hit. Luke got a hit. So here's Brandon Molina.
No.
And again, Scott Gates can flat out run if he gets a good read. And a kind of a stretch single here by Brandon, and he'll have the possibility of scoring. And Molina hammers it. This could be 2. Mercado, smooth as always, and that's how the game's going to end. And we'll show you the replay. Nate Mercado shifted to short center this year, smooth as butter on this. And I hope I didn't go to the replay a little too quick on it. You can see that ball just took him, well, you didn't see it, but it took him right to the back. So the 45's come back, well-played game. Fat Kids hung in there, and the Fat Kids left a lot of guys on base. They cleaned that up. Could have been an easy win for them. 45's, as always, they just grind on you. They don't give you anything, and they pull it out. So we're going to click off, folks. We're going to have the next broadcast in about 10, 15 minutes. Stay with us live from Bulger Park and Melrose Park. This is SSA Broadcast and Geo.